Good evening, folks, and a very warm welcome to you. Welcome to episode 24 of DinamoTV, the official podcast of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club. My name is TOM PONDELJAK, and I will be with you over the next hour. And on tonight's show, the last one for the month of June, we've got a perler of a show. We've got the usual stories, all the news, all the views, catch up with the coaches, the announcement of the senior men's and the senior women's players of the week. But we've also got a very, very special guest tonight. It's part 2 of our Dinamo Living Legends series. And on tonight's show, we're going to catch up with a true legend of the football club, the Dinamo St Albans Dinamo Football Club, the inaugural president, and he was also the inaugural sponsor, Miro Hedges. Most folks know Miro. He's always at the club and was heavily involved, not just with St Albans Dinamo, but the Croatian community here in Victoria. So can't wait for that. That's going to be an absolute perler of an interview. We've got some great footage, may I tell you, of a wonder goal, a world-class wonder goal by a returnee, a famous name and a former junior. He's come back to the club and he played in last week's under-23s. Stay tuned for that. Just the footage alone of that is quite incredible. And so we've got, as I said, a jam-packed show, huge show for you tonight, folks. We do want your involvement as well. Where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? In the chat section, do drop us a line. Let us know what you think of tonight's show. Who would you like to see in our Living Legends series? We're open to all requests. We'd love to hear would love to know who you would like us to interview in coming episodes of DinamoTV. Big shout out to all of our sponsors, but especially to our major sponsor, the I&D Group. And here's a couple of messages from our major sponsor. And after that, it's time for the news desk.
The I&D Group is regarded as one of the largest deliverers of concrete structure solutions in Victoria. Formed in 1994 by Ivan and Kathy Filipovic, their passion and commitment to getting the job done safely and economically has underpinned their success in the industry. I&D partners with large-scale building and construction companies in both the private and public sectors on projects large and small. With our corporate headquarters based in South Melbourne and storage yard based in the southeast suburbs, we have at our disposal thousands of square metres of quality materials, along with state-of-the-art lifting and crane equipment, enabling us to deliver the largest projects. We are committed to delivering high-quality projects by partnering with our clients and collaborating with project suppliers to ensure each job is delivered to exceed expectations. From humble beginnings, I&D now employs more than 1,200 dedicated professional and support staff, involved in a number of landmark projects right across Victoria. The I&D Group is a massive supporter of the Croatian community, backed soccer clubs in Victoria, and is proud to be the major sponsor of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club in 2024.
Yes, welcome back to DinamoTV. Let's first of all start with our social news. So this weekend, if you haven't already, text Anna on 0401 505 100. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there it is. All the information on the screen. Light up our scoreboard. Zabava, ain't no party like a Dinamo party. You're going to want to leave the kids at home for this one. Join us for a night dedicated to raising funds for an electronic scoreboard for pitch number 1. Folks, that's it's going to be a huge night. Tickets are $100 and they include a 3-course meal as well. So make sure to, if you haven't already, book a ticket for the big one. And also, if you can't make it, just text Anna there. Once again, that number 0401 505 100. You could probably buy tickets. I'm sure you can buy tickets even if you aren't able to turn up on the night. Now, Before we move on to the news desk proper, this last week, Daniel Molino, who's a federal politician here in the local area, he turned up for the game against Hume City. And there's a post from Daniel Molino himself. He says, "Thanks to St Albans Dinamo for hosting me today for lunch and a discussion about their future plans. The club has a booming membership with 30 teams and in particular, a rapidly growing number of women's and girls teams. They need support for additional change rooms, refurbished facilities and access to more fit pitches. Congratulations on all that the club and its hardworking volunteers have achieved, especially for young people in the community." Yes, and it's now over to the federal pollies, the state pollies, and indeed the local pollies to put their money where their mouth is and financially back what St Albans Dinamo, what we're trying to do here at St Albans Dinamo. Big plans, ambitious plans, but we can't do it on our own. And the facilities, I'm sure you'll agree, could be a lot better than they already are. But we'll leave that up to club officials and the people who liaise with the various tiers of government. The former Dinamo player who is set to sign with Dinamo Zagreb, who could it possibly be? Well, this player played 3 games back in 2020, and it is Nicholas Milanovic, who recently was playing at Western Sydney Wanderers, and prior to that was at Western United, and in 2020 played 3 games with us. It's reported, there's a tweet there from BRWS Wanderers. 22-year-old Nicholas Milanovic says goodbye to Wanderers. His destination is Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia. Milanovic had a great performance, 27 games, 9 goals and 5 assists last season with a rating of 7.5. Thank you and good luck in Croatia. Well, we've tried to find out if this is fair income. There has been reports in the Croatian media. Nacional has also said that prinova iz Australije Milanovic potpisuje za Dinamo I odlazi na posudbu u Lokomotivu. Translated, that says a recruit from Australia. Milanovic is signing for Dinamo and he is going to be loaned out to Lokomotiva Zagreb. As we said, we've tried to find out if that is the case. Nothing official, I'm told. It is just rumours and pure speculation at the moment. But where there's smoke, there's usually fire, so it's possibly very, very likely that that could be the case. And there's a Facebook post from Dinamo in 2020. Congratulations to Nicholas Milanovic, who was signed with Western United. That was after he was with our club. That's right, for 3 games back in that COVID-infested 2020 season. Okay, it's time to now look at our senior men's team. Well, we're going to have a look at the highlights, probably forgettable, of last week's game. And it was a bit of a frustrating event. But here's the highlights. Doesn't go for too long, only goes for about 3 minutes.
At the moment, so they look to obviously try to get out of that pocket. But what a game we have here, as you said. Hume coming off a huge loss last week. Probably the result doesn't reflect, I think, the game. They did play a midweek game in Doherty Cup, which probably had some tired legs out there, but nevertheless it's a solid performance from Avondale. And Cam Watson finally gets a win for St Albans last week in a tough 1-0 win. So all to play for today, as Katie will kick things off here.
And the hooping cross, but it's going to allow Dinamo to double back here as Monik pushes back. Support for Sovereign. The cross comes flashing in.
And it's a goal there. Looks like it's Galevski. It came out of nothing. That really is a bit of a calamity in the back line there from Dinamo's defence. Offside flag is raised. Unlucky there is an opportunity for Dinamo. Goes begging. Carter Ramsey that time. Just couldn't stay on the right passage. Go again now. Ball into the box. Out comes Riley. Quick release to Ocheng. Got opportunity to run at it. Ocheng. Simple ball to Platt. Platt flicked it on. Abdallah now. Nice little flick on there. Amir Abdallah gets it into the edge of the box. Can he square it? He does. Shot comes in. It's a floater. It's a tap in. And it's 2. And now just switching flanks there, Katie, as you mentioned, just causing havoc for Dinamo as they finally understood their task, and then Hume City pull it off. It's a poor one there from Rika Bennett, straight to Gillespie. Now he lays it off to Bingham. Bingham squares it back in for the tap in. And he makes it 3-0. Amir Abdul, 3 points. Abdullah now. Carlson, they get it back now. Challenge through that time. And it's going to be another yellow card. Wait. Grigic, Oshongo. And it's going to be a free kick on McFarland that time. And Court gets a yellow card.
Well done, pass. Good job, bud.
Brilliant performance by him.
Now just have to gather themselves as the referee blows the full-time whistle here at Churchill Reserve. That wraps up the game. In the end, Hume City fast and strong, taking it out 3-0. Thanks to a double.
And there we have it, the highlights from last week's game. Well, this week is a grand final of grand finals. Can't be any more important than this Saturday against Manningham United. There we go. There's the how it is, the state of affairs. We're on the bottom of the competition standings at the moment, and things are looking rather grim, I must admit. We're 10 points on the bottom. Moreland City also have got 10 points, but they've got a better goal difference. Now, Manningham United in third last position with 11 points at the moment, so 1 point ahead of Dinamo. So it's going to be a big battle between those 3 teams. We defeated Moreland City a week ago. We now need to defeat Manningham United. So all roads on Saturday lead to Petty's Reserve. The main game kicks off at 3 p.m. And the second game, or the curtain raiser, I should say, kicks off at 12:30 p.m. Okay, speaking of the under-23s, let's have a look at the under-23s. Well, they defeated Hume City 4-2. Jesse Chop, scored 2. Nicholas De Bono scored 1. And returnee Oliver Dragicevic, a very famous name, he scored 1 goal as well. Let's have a look. We've got footage of that goal by Oliver Dragicevic, a world-class stunner. Well, what a brilliant goal that was. Absolutely fantastic, that's for sure. A remarkable goal, no doubt about that. Alrighty. Well, after the game, we had a post-coach chat, but it was the roles were reversed. Ian Berkey, who normally does the interviewing, he was the interviewed. And the one who normally gets interviewed, Tuna, well, he became the interviewer. Let's hear what the 2 colleagues had to say.
Right. Bit of a change this week where it's Tuna here with the under-23 assistant coach Berkey. Berkey, how are you?
I'm very good today. Thank you for asking.
Great win on the weekend against Hume, a team that we drew with the previous outing, and look, I think it was convincing. What did you think?
Yeah, it certainly was. I think that's the thing that we've gone into the second half of the year is just constant improvement and trying to get these boys better and better each week. I think that proved on the weekend. Let's be honest, we absolutely battered them on the weekend, and it could have been far more if we'd have taken more chances in front of goal. And we probably gave them a little bit those 2 goals, even though they took their chances well. So credit to Hugh for that. But certainly on the balance of play, yeah, very, very convincing win.
Yeah, we're creating a lot more chances than we have in previous weeks, and that's probably been a telltale sign of why we won 3 in a row. Would you put it down to that?
Yeah, I think so. And again, so if we talk about that 3 in a row, like it's in previous weeks we've had maybe 1 in a row, 2 in a row, and then the boys get a little bit ahead of themselves, a little bit overconfident, and which happens a lot at this age. But like you and I have said since the start of the pre-season, like any team can beat anyone. And the hope is from you and I that the finals come back in, because I certainly think even the teams that are at the top don't hold any fear for us on our day when we play the football that we know we can play.
Yeah, it certainly is a congested table at the moment. Ollie Dragicevic back at the club.
Yeah, not a bad start when you overhead scissor kick into the top bin. Your first game back at the club. Very, very impressive. He looked tidy on the ball. His work rate was excellent. And no doubt he'll be in contention along with a couple of the other boys in the 23s that are pushing now to be in that senior mix, whether or not they get starts or if they're off the bench. They're certainly doing all the right things and put themselves in the window with the new coaches.
Yeah, like in terms of development, we've certainly seen some boys progress in Nicholas Murray, who's already there. Look at Jabrea, he's now getting a lot of minutes in the seniors, and a couple of boys, Arvin Gay and Alex and now training regularly with the seniors as well, which is, like we always say, it's the proudest moment for us, like proud dads when we see them out there. Have you seen their progression?
Yeah, it's been really good. So if you take all of those boys, the exception for me would be Arvin, who was there or thereabouts last year, but then this year he's come back, he's really knuckled down. His attitude's been much better, and I think he's sort of realising what he needs to do to take that next step. So for all these young boys, yeah, I mean that's only the start. That's the thing. It's just the start, getting in that senior squad and training there, and then it's up to them to keep progressing and keep working hard to get even further and wherever they want to be.
Yeah, we know how important the game is this weekend for the senior group against Manningham. In the 23s, we had our most convincing win of the season, 6-0 when we played them at home. We know, judging by results, they're a different team up in Templestowe. What are we expecting this week?
Yeah, so we're expecting to knock the ball around nicely like they do on the synthetic there. I think they'll try and go through the central areas. I hope they're not listening to this, by the way. But yeah, we'll be ready for that. If we just concentrate on what we do well, which is what we've done the last 3 weeks, then we won't. Like I say, we've got nothing to fear from anybody.
Yeah.
If these boys come and they're applied to the situation, they'll get their rewards out of the game, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. On to this weekend, and thank you, Berkey.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers to that.
That was Ian Burke, the assistant coach, and Adam Tenanini Tuna, the head coach in his new role as DinamoTV, a roving reporter. Did a great job there, Tuna. Well done. So let's bring that ladder up of the under-23s again. The under-23s now jumping into 9th position. And there are something like 4 teams all on 24 points. Oakley just below Dinamo and Avondale and Heidelberg just above. The Knights in 6th position with 26 points. So this week, Dinamo taking on Manningham United, who are 12th. And that game kicks off at 12:45 p.m. at Petty's Reserve in Templestowe. So a big, important game, that one for the 23s, as is for the seniors as well. Okay, over to the women, who are just killing it, absolutely destroying things at the moment. They are continuing their unbeaten streak now. Well done to the girls. What a remarkable record at the moment. And if we have a look at the ladder and the final score there in their game against Greenvale United, 9-0. Grgic to Delia to Pavlinušić, Cholina, Panic, and Cholina as well. Girls are on 23 points after 9 games, and they find themselves in 2nd position, keeping pace with top team Westgate at the moment. Okay, let's have a look at some of last week's highlights courtesy of Nick Delia, the team manager. And after that, we caught up with Tom Pondeljak, the senior women's head coach, straight after the game.
Good hustle. Kelly. Hit it, Eva. Get in the box now. Too close. Too close. Again. Wait, there was talk that you were going to come up. Play Abby, Tate. Play Abby. Lead it, Tate. Well done, Tate.
Tommy, 9-0, good result.
Yeah, look, scored a hatful of goals today, which is great to see. Once again, multiple goal scorers, which is awesome. Yeah, look, the serve was pretty tough to play on today. It was very bouncy. Girls struggled a little bit on it, but all in all, put in a top performance today. Yeah, look, it's just one of those games. You don't know what you're going to get, but in the end, like I said, the girls they tried their hearts out and got the reward.
And Geelong Rangers next week, our only draw this year.
Yeah, look, they were a bit of a banana peel for us the first time around, but we just got to be on our game. We have the same mentality what we've had in the last couple of weeks, especially coming up against some of these weaker sides. I think we'll do quite well, and we'll definitely won't be taking them lightly. We have to be on our game, and hopefully once again we can get the 3 points.
Brilliant, well done, mate. Good luck next week.
That was Tommy Pondeljak, the senior coach of the women's team. Okay, let's have a look at the fixtures for round 11 in the Women's State League 2 competition. Geelong Rangers will be our guests on Sunday, on the 30th of June at 3 p.m. at Churchill Reserve. And the Dinamo girls will certainly want to continue their unbeaten form streak at the moment. Alrighty, last week, or this week actually, Dinamo, there was a special sponsorship presentation, or a presentation by one of our sponsors from Budget and Avis, and this was for the juniors. And Stepan Gal had a short speech. Let's have a little bit of a look at what happened during the week at Churchill Reserve.
That we train with. So this is all thank you to the sponsors. So sponsors like Budget and Avis. So Adis, who sponsored us this year, and his company that he works for. So not his company, but maybe one day. One day. But yeah, just want to say thank you to him. So make sure everyone says thank you. Thank you. Okay. And we've got 200 cookies here. So you guys will be the lucky ones. Just make sure. Does anyone have any allergies? No allergies. All right. So make sure. All right. We all say thank you. You got allergies? Now you can't have allergies. So boys and girls, thank you very much. All right. I just want to say anything. Bye. Do well at school, and we'll do it again next year. All right. Well done, guys.
Come on, Gal, when you're going to ask kids if they got there's cookies involved and you're going to ask them if there's allergies, no one's going to admit there are any allergies. Well done to everyone involved and to artists from Avis and Budget. And there's a group photo of all the kids there, and a close-up there of one happy girl there. Lily holding up one of those 200 cookies, some specially made cookies with the Dinamo emblem and the Budget car and truck rental as well. Well done to everyone involved for that. Fantastic, yeah. Alrighty, let's turn our attention to the slightly older juniors, the junior boys NPL. Relatively speaking, pretty good result last week. We had a couple of wins, but then a couple of losses as well. The under-14s, they won 4-1. The under-15s lost 1-4. The under-16s lost 3-1. But the under-18s won 2-0. Okay, before we look at the fixtures for next week, let's have a quick look at the ladders. The under-14s, they maintain their third position on the competition standings, as do the under-15s. So both of those teams are currently in third spot. Interestingly, both are behind the Eltham Redbacks. Moving over, the under-16s have dropped from top spot to second spot. And guess what? Once again, they're behind Eltham Redbacks. Not so the case for the 18s, though. They maintain their unbeaten record at the moment, 6 wins and 3 draws, for a total of 21 points, and they are clear at the top of the under-18 ladder. So if we then go back to the fixtures and see what is happening this Sunday, round 10, we'll see the under-14s travel to Hume City Stadium. Kickoff there is 9:30 against Hume City. The under-15s, they're at home to Ballarat City. Slightly later kickoff time of 11:30 at Churchill Reserve. Then we've got the under-16s also at home to Pascoe Vale at 1:15. And then the under-18s, they travel to Paisley Park to take on Altona Magic. That game kicking off at 1 p.m. Okay. That pretty much, I think, brings us to the very end of the news desk, if I'm not mistaken. Have we got anything else coming up in the news desk? No, I think that's it. So we're going to take a bit of a commercial break, and when we return, we've got the announcement of the players of the week to come after this. Don't go away, folks. Okay, welcome back to DinamoTV. Well, we hope to hear from Cameron Watson before the end of tonight's show. As we speak, the training session is just starting to wind up, so hopefully we'll be able to get an insight into the state of affairs in the dressing room of the senior men's team ahead of what is going to be a very, very important game this weekend coming up. It's going to be a huge game, a real 6-pointer against Manningham United. But it's time now to announce who the Senior Men's NPL Player of the Week award winner is. And for the men, it is none other than Scott Backhaul. Well done, Scotty. He's, I think it's 2 or 3 times this year that he's won that award, taken out that award. So congratulations. We've got a repeat offender in Scotty Backhaul. Well done to Scotty Backhaul. As for the senior women's, the player of the week, well, I believe we've got someone who's a first-timer. Congratulations, Maya Parnich. Well done. Maya Parnich is the senior women's player of the week. So well done to her. Congratulations on that one. Alrighty, folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, it is going to be time for our big interview tonight. As part of the Dinamo Living Legends series. It's part 2, exclusive interview with Miro Hedges, the inaugural president and sponsor of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club. welcome to Dinamo TV. It's been a while between drinks with our Living Legends series, but there's so much happening at the club. But today it's my absolute pleasure to be coming from the home of one of the most well-known forefathers of the club, Miro Hedges. It's an absolute pleasure to have Miro here on Dinamo TV. First of all, thank you for agreeing to come on Dinamo TV. It's an absolute pleasure to have you and to chat with you as part of the Dinamo Living Legend series. First of all, how are you?
I am well, thank you, Tonchi. Enjoying my retirement, and pleasure to be with you on this new venture, Dinamo TV. Yeah, absolutely magnificent.
Well, we're certainly hoping to lead the way in many, many ways, and I guess be pioneers in some ways, and that's very similar to what you did back in the day. But we'll get to that very shortly. But
great promotion. That's excellent.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about Miro Hedges. Let's go right to the very start. We're not going to ask you if you remember, but where were you born?
I was born in Slavonski Brod, in Slavonia, Hrvatska, in 1949, so that makes me about 74 years old. Well, we came to Australia in 1966 when I was about 16 and a half years old. But the life in Slavonski Brod in those days, it was sort of early after the war, Second World War. And my father was involved in the war on the Croatian side, so the life wasn't easy. It was a difficult life. But his oldest brother, my uncle, already migrated to Australia, and he was living in Geelong. And so by early 60s, we decided that we'll move as well.
Did you have troubles? Did you have difficulties coming out as a family back then, or was it?
No, we for some reason or other we didn't. They gave us the green passports. They virtually written us off. So the entire family, we have moved out here. So originally we come to Geelong, and I started playing soccer with Coraya. And got it to the second division, as a matter of fact, in those days. Steve Horvat, the senior series, the old Steve Horvat and I, we played together at some stage. And I saw the involvement when we started North Geelong, original Geelong, Croatia, but before it got expelled. So that's what it is. I also consider myself not just Slavonski Brod boy, but also the Geelong boy.
Yeah. Now, before you got involved with St Albans Dinamo, you were already, this is the early 70s, very heavily involved in the Croatian community in Melbourne, and it was an interesting time, a turbulent time. Hrvatsko proljeće, Croatian Spring, was happening in 1971 in Croatia, and your own involvement with the Croatian community here was just getting bigger and bigger. Tell us a bit about those days.
Well, coming to Geelong was Kula Hrvatstva. You know, that's what we called it, Kula Hrvatstva. There was very, very well developed, busy, excellent Croatian community already in Geelong, and they had assembled to play music. They had and all young kids, you know, like between 12 and say 15, 16. Like I was 16 and a half at the time. We had a folk dancing group. It was called Frankopan Zrinski, and I'd reckon that would be one of the very first folkloric groups Croatian groups in Australia at the time. So it was a very busy community. I joined it straight away and got involved in that. But as you said, then there was this awakening in Croatia. The Hrvatsko proljeće, you know, came along. And well, by that time I finished my school. I finished Geelong West Tech, and I have moved. I have enrolled at RMIT, Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, to study at that time civil engineering, which I changed later on to architecture. So I moved gradually. I moved to Melbourne. Yes, I did.
So what was that? What time was that? Around about 1970?
Oh,
69,
69, 70.
69, 70, yeah.
69, 70. And Melbourne had a sort of a little bit of a divided Croatian community. There was a lot of these, I'll call them little gods, you know, politicians that were sort of pulling things one way or the other way. There was HOP, there was Seljačka stranka, there was Odbor.
So a lot of it on political lines.
Political lines, you know. But there was also Melbourne, Croatia, and which originally came from Geelong. And as I said, I even played with a couple of boys that come back from Melbourne and played in Geelong, like Steve Horvat, Senior. So Melbourne was also busy, but it wasn't as good, as nice as it was in Geelong at the time. But I did join in. We started a newspaper here in Melbourne called Hrvatski tjednik Osvit. I reckon it was, well, they said it was the first Croatian weekly newspaper printed, first Croatian weekly newspaper in the world, because we couldn't count what was printed in back home, because that was still Yugoslavia, Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, and Croatia was just a socialist republic, one of the units of the Yugoslavia. So it was a Croatian paper, Hrvatski tjednik Osvit. I was involved with that. Urednik was Marko Bagarić, but there were other people around us like Vlado Vitez, Toni Vržina, myself, and you know, like involved with the paper as well.
And Toni Vržina, who was later to become a legend of Dinamo, St Albans Dinamo, was, I think, the sports editor, and it had probably one of the best sports coverages at the time.
Well, that's it. That's what it is. That's where we got to know each other. So when, say, 1974, when Melbourne Croatia got expelled, of course, you know, in early 70s, about that time. But in 74, when Melbourne Croatia at that time took over the Lions.
Yeah, Essendon Lions,
And Vržina was heavily involved there. Well, he got me involved as well. I was there a lot of times with him at Essendon. And we started Matica Hrvatska and other things because of the Proljeće, you know, what was happening back home, Gotovac and Tudjman and them. I've got Tudjman's book, Mali narodi, velike ideje. I've got that book in early 70s. I knew about the guy then, you know.
So the Croatian Spring, as we said, it was a volatile time in the community in Croatia, but also over here in Australia. And as you said, there was a lot of division, I guess. But then at the same time, there were institutions like Melbourne Croatia, the soccer club, that did unify the community. Now, a little bit after that, you became involved with the Dinamo, who was you know, a new club, St Albans Dinamo, back in the days. Interesting times. How did you get involved with Dinamo, and what were your first recollections of those early days?
Well, what was happening then? There was a lot of young men of that age that wanted to play soccer, but not all of them could play at Croatia, and they were forming groups here and there. And in about probably 77, I'd say, Split formed as a club and played the first season. And that's where some of the boys were already playing in this industrial league. They were playing for different clubs and all this. So they got the idea that they can also form another club on the west side of the city, sort of, you know.
And where was Split located?
I think Split was
north?
out north, Broadmeadows, Glenroy way. You know, that was Croatian had Split Repairs, sort of a business, and he sponsored them. That's how they got also the nice Split and all this. So these boys got an idea that they want to form another club because there were so many of them. They were playing, you know, training behind St Albans High School and all this, and there was 20, 30 boys. And many of them actually came from Melbourne, Croatia and all this. They just couldn't make the first team. 2 or 3 were playing in St. Albans, the rest were playing Sunshine West, this and that. And they come to me, I think, in 77, and because I already had a business, I started design drafting business in Footscray. And they said, oh, look, we want to go into Industrial League, we want to form the club, and would you be the sponsor? And one thing led to another, and they formed the club, and they got me to be the president, and it called it Hedges Drafting Dynamos.
Because it was Industrial League.
Because Industrial League.
Company
and they put this club into the bottom of the bottom in the 4th Division West. There were 4 divisions, you know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And in this 4th division, there were like 3 other divisions, like East, North, whatever, and we were in the West. 4 Division West. So that's where we started. And the first season that we started we played first season in 1978. Would you believe? But even before we kicked the ball, they put us into this Doherty Cup or something, or Black Douglas. I can't remember now. It was a long time ago. They put us into this cup, and first they drove us. First club that we're going to play against was Dufton, and they were in the state league.
Oh gosh,
they were, you know, they were in the league with Macedonia and Preston Macedonia and them. You know, they were state league, and we beat them 3-1 on our ground behind St. Albans High School, which we marked the lines ourselves, and we welded the goal posts and build the ground ourselves. We had permission from St. Albans High School to sort of.
What was the reaction when you beat a club that was it was a real David and Goliath battle, and you
made the newspaper, because and they were making statements like, oh, you know, the Dynamos could have beaten anyone, you know, the ground. They were blaming everything on the ground. They said the ground was small, it was bumpy, you know, it was this and that, you know, everything but say that we played really well. You know, we formed actually a club, a team that they had really good players, and could have taken anybody on. You know.
In those early days, it was a meteoric rise. It went very, very quickly from, as you said, the bottom of the bottom leagues, and virtually moved up very, very quickly because you had such good players, and the club was really well structured. And before you knew it, you found yourself in higher divisions. How was it? And then, apart from just being a sponsor, you became involved as a member of the committee and eventually president. What was it like running the club back in those days, late 70s, early 80s? Compare it to maybe something like today.
Well, straight away they elected me from the day one as a president, and but we were friends. The club, we formed the club because we were friends in the first place. Many were related, you know, brothers, sisters, and all this. Like how I'm related to Zdenko Brkacic. I married his sister, so he's my brother-in-law. And he was the captain of the team for many years. So that was this interrelation as well, and that was very important. We were very strong. We became very strong because we were friends before we were players and everything else. So the first year we went with undefeated. We got into the 3rd division. 3rd division, we went undefeated. We got into the 2nd division. In the 2nd division, we might have drawn 1 game, lost none, and got into the 1st division, which then became harder. Some of us got older, and it became a little bit harder. But at that time, then we got the idea that maybe we should join up with St. Albans. St. Albans wasn't doing that well, and there was quite a few of our boys and our people that were running St. Albans at the time. Croatian people. So
there was a lot of like Volksdeutsch, yeah? Is that right? Was a lot of them?
They were Croatians of Austrian descent, or Slovenian or Austrian descent. That's correct. Yeah.
And so the club amalgamated. It just became stronger and stronger. At what point did the club kind of decide, the next step is to have maybe juniors, and that way always have players coming up through the ranks, and not, as you said, the players were starting to get older. Sooner or later they'd have to then give it away, but you then need juniors to come filter through the ranks. When did the club decide to have
we started the juniors, don't you? We started juniors even when we were in this industrial league.
Mm-hmm.
So the juniors, I think we started in 1980. But by that time we were already the Dobson Reserve on Churchill Avenue in Maidstone. So we actually called our juniors Maidstone, Maidstone Junior Soccer Club. And we had so many kids like you wouldn't believe. Like anyone that Melbourne, Croatia couldn't accommodate or didn't fit in there wanted to join Dinamo,
So what year was this roughly?
About 1980.
1980. So even then it was basically like, gee, you guys were well ahead of your time. You had one club, but there were two clubs but one club. Bit like the Dinamo group today, where we've got St. Albans Vukovar, Gospić Bears, St. Albans, everything under the one banner. So it's kind of almost like...
So we formed the juniors there. There were so many kids like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
And of course they couldn't all fit on this Dobson Reserve in Maidstone. So there was a primary school next to the reserve, and they allow us to build, I don't know, one pitch or two pitches on the actual school grounds. Or they might have already had one and we had to do another one. That's how many kids we had.
Wow, what a different era.
So once we joined St. Albans, they already had juniors, and we brought all our juniors. So it became a big club. It became a big club. There wasn't that much difficult running the clubs, but there was this little bit of animosity in the community. Like, did you form the Dinamo so that you against Croatia, this and that? It was nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was like there were so many of us, and you can't fit them all into one club.
Yep.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. Now let's talk about some of the highlights. We'll talk about some of the lowlights a little bit later on. But some of the highlights, what were some of the most memorable, I guess, achievements while you were involved with the club?
Well, I think the most memorable thing is the good times we had as a group. I think that, to me, that was the most valuable. As a group, the friends, the friendships that we formed, and relationships for life. Like we were holding Zabave, dances, fundraising. Well, we were financing everything out of our own pocket. But I think there's no real big highlights like such. Every game was a highlight. We won one game, 29-0.
Oh, goodness me.
We were playing against Illindale, and they came down with 10 players to play against us. And by halftime it was 15-0. They all had to do just lie down or get injured, one player or whatever, and the game would be stopped. We had the referee there and everybody. It was all, legal, and all was above the board. 29-0. There were some of the highlights. Tournaments, going Croatian tournaments, that was always a highlight. I mean, first one we did at Canberra, 1978. We went to Canberra. Wow, how good was that? And of course, there was the Croatian embassy at that time with what was Mario Despoja, and which also became a good friend for life. Mario and I. Mario was there, and all this, and then following year in Sydney, tournament in Sydney. These were the highlights. We would go by bus as a group, and with our kids, and kids grew up on the soccer grounds, and we were changing nappies at the soccer grounds. And that's what it was.
What an incredible
girls were selling bags of chips so just to make some money, and whatever.
It's all those memories, those fond memories, and the club's now 49 years old. Next year will be the 50th year, and it's great to see new generations coming up through the ranks. But it's I talk to people at the club and people that have been involved with the club, and it's that sense of community that is just so important. And I guess that's probably more important than what happens on the field, even though we always go to win. and we'll talk about what's happening on the field a little bit later on. But you did mention one of the lowlights was perception in the community, and let's get it right. There's only a small minority, but it's always the glasna manjina, as they say in Croatian, the loud minority of people who thought that Dinamo was set up to knock Melbourne, Croatia down, to be a competitor, but that wasn't the case.
At all. It wasn't the case at all. It was the case of we have 20 boys there wanting to play soccer, and we start in the industrial league. Most of us went to support Melbourne, Croatia afterwards. Watch the game and all this. It wasn't the case at all.
What about when?
Westar Prestige is a family-owned second-generation business which is celebrating 50 years of operations this year. They're a specialist prestige collision repair facility situated in the western suburbs of Melbourne, Victoria. However, they service all regions in the state, with many of their clients travelling from far and wide to use their services. They're also able to provide a digital platform for quoting clients' vehicles who are unable to personally attend their premises. They're an authorised manufacturer-approved repair facilities for Mercedes-Benz, Tesla, Peugeot and Suzuki, and are proud of their ongoing affiliation with these brands. They also work closely with a number of Australia's largest insurance brands who entrust them to be part of their preferred repairer network. Their support staff are always happy to assist clients from the initial process of lodging claims through to the final stages of collection of the vehicle on completion of repairs and post-repair. So remember, for all your prestige collision repair needs, consider Westar Prestige, an award-winning, long-standing Australian-owned business.
We're here with Miro Hedges, who was one of the first presidents and heavily involved with St Albans Dinamo in our second instalment of the Dinamo Living Legends series.
Melbourne Knights, Dinamo and all this. You see, Dinamo, most of the boys were Slavonci, Osijek, that part of the world. At that time, Croatia were Dalmatinci. And you see, you got the same business back home in Croatia. You got it right now. Hajduk playing Dinamo, all these things happening. It's not everybody, like I met this guy, one of the ministers that came out now that we got independent state of Croatia and all this, Republika Hrvatska. One of the ministers, and when I said to him, oh, look, we got this bit of an issue. We named the club Dinamo, and they're saying, oh, only the communist countries, Dinamo and all this. We got nothing to do with this, but we got Dinamo in Zagreb, and most of us as kids, supported Dinamo and all this, and Slavonci and all. He said, look, Miro, don't worry about these issues. He said, I'm from Split. We are all members of Hajduk, so that people know where we come from. And we all members of Dinamo, so that they know what we are, Croatians. And don't worry about these issues. And then that's exactly right. He's spot on. We should not worry about these issues. There are always people that will whinge about this and that. We got two wonderful clubs now, Croatia since 1953, 52, 53, whatever, 70 years. Dinamo is now pushing, 40, 45 or whatever. Two wonderful clubs.
That is a wonderful, wonderful way of looking at it. And instead of arguing and fighting, we're too small a community and too small a country. I think we should be celebrating everything and everyone's achievements. And I've been covering the local community for many, many years, and particularly the local sporting community. And I think last year when we had, was it three Croatian clubs in the NPL? We've got, again, 3 this year. It would be great to have 4, and you know what? It would be fantastic if all were successful. But at the moment, some of us are struggling. We'll get back to that just shortly. And speaking of today, how do you see the club? Let's not talk about on the field, because at the moment things aren't going too well. But off the field, and how do you see the club, in your opinion? What's the state of affairs with St Albans Dinamo in 2024?
Good question. Excellent question. You see, when I rolled up there, when I see all those little kiddies running around training. You know, I come there on Tuesday or something. With the ID, their little ID shirts, you know, Dinamo shirts on. It's the feeling that is difficult to describe. But, you know, we were one of the first clubs that had a women's team. So we got young ladies around there running around, practicing, playing as well. We got strong juniors. We got strong social club. Okay, we're not doing well playing, and there's a reason for that. The reason is that we have run out of Croatian built players coming through the Croatian academies. There's just not enough of kids that want to play soccer. And so that is the reason we're playing again, you know, with kids that are not from Croatian parents. But so socially, I see the club very strong. We got wonderful kids running around there, you know, having a lot of fun, exercising and all this. We got girls club, we got social club. We're not doing well in the senior soccer department.
Now, speaking of the girls, the women's, that's one good thing that we seem to be doing very well. The senior women's team under Tommy Pondeljak, an absolute legend of the club and of Melbourne, Croatia, coaching, and they're doing very, very well. They're on top of the competition standings, undefeated. And there's a whole, obviously with the women's, the Matildas, doing very well at the Women's World Cup. That seems to be translating to a lot of girls now playing.
Yes, absolutely.
How times have changed. Once upon a time, girls were Miss Dinamo, or they were working in the kitchen, and now they're actually playing and enjoying the same benefits as the guys.
In the let's call it old times, good old times, we also had you know, folkloric group Shokadia as well. You know, which regrettably. But there was lot of young people that remember that. You know, they remember they were part of. So that's why the club is strong socially. The club is very strong because a lot of young adults now, maybe even middle age, reflect to the good old time they had with the club when they were kids and young people, either folklore dancing or through the women's team or through the juniors, you know, that's why it is a strong club.
Now, one other thing I guess that you must be pretty proud to see at Dinamo Churchill Reserve is the different generations. Obviously, there's the first that's still there that comes along to games. The second generation got involved in running the club. The third generation is involved in playing, and in that regard as well. But also, there's you know, we mentioned St. Albans, Vukovar, Gospic Bears Wednesday nights. So there's still that social element. Dinamo has supported Zora with all the issues that they've had in recent times as well. But it's not just that. There's the Zabave, the getting together. There's so much of that as well as working with some of the other clubs. It seems to me that Croatian community spirit is alive and well at Churchill Reserve. And later this year, we hope that the tournament, which will be held by Dinamo, is going to be a big success as well.
During the time that I was president of the Soccer Association, I can't remember exactly what year that was, probably 88 or something like that. Dinamo had a tournament. It was a big deal. We had ministers came from Croatia, you know. So it must have been later. It must have been because already 1991. So it must have been 93 or something, 92, 93. It was a big thing. I think this tournament is going to be a big thing. It will, you know, Dinamo is such a homely club. You know, when people come to Dinamo, they feel like, you know, they're home. And, you know, like, as I said, this goes back to these relationships that we have with each other. And this relationship has continued from that old generation to the middle generation to these new generations now. I go in there and I talk to the new presidents like I have talked to all the presidents before him. You know, whether it was Ivan Maric or whether it was Zvonko Šakić or whether it was Joža Jurgec. Or, by the way, Joža Jurgec was probably one of the best presidents we had at Dinamo. He was there probably for the longest time, and there was lots of things that happened, and team was really strong at the time. But yeah, this is probably this relationship that continues from generation to generations, and I think the tournament is going to be a big thing.
Yeah, we certainly hope so.
They certainly need a lot of help.
That's for sure. There's going to be the more volunteers, the better. That's for sure.
Yes.
And if there's one way of mobilising the whole community, it's with these Croatian.
Well, Dragica and I, we have put our names down, and they said, well, they said for me, you know, what is he going to do? You know, like what can I do? You know, not young anymore. You know,
I'm sure there's
maybe I can collect the balls around. You know?
And get fit at the same time. Yeah. Now, Miro, how would you like to see Dinamo develop further as a club? What would you like to see happen in the next few years?
It's an excellent question because but you would have to go and look beyond the senior team.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the senior team now and you just see, you know, a couple of boys there, Michael, you know, Gargic, and you know, a few of these boys, and the rest are, let's say, foreigners. You know,
yep.
You got to look behind that
mm-hmm.
and see what is the future of the club.
Yeah.
And I think it's got big future. Particularly, like you just mentioned, one of the aspects is this women's team, like Matilda's, became really big. So lots of our girls would want to come and play, and so there is a future. There's future in that. Socially, we still need a social club.
Yeah,
you know, we still need a social club. I don't see Dinamo because of the location where it is located on that reserve,
mm-hmm.
and there are limitations there. And the council was never happy with us. So many cars around, you know, noises and all this. I don't see Dinamo, you know, progressing to a national league or whatever. Yep. You know, it's just probably not for us. Not the location. It is more like Melbourne Knights with a stadium and everything. You know, that they can progress to that future second league.
Second division, yeah.
Second division or whatever they call it. Not us, but I think we will remain strong. Mm-hmm. We got to look behind this, beyond this senior team, and it's not doing too well at the moment, you know, sitting second last or what.
Well, just last week, one of the politicians, the federal politicians, came down to the club, and the committee met with him, and they explained the master plan. There's a big master plan in place to develop the facilities further, to modernise what we've got at Churchill Reserve. And as you said, it's homely at the moment, but we want it to be something that's going to last generations as well. I guess that brings us really to the end, and any final message for Dinamo TV viewers?
Well, what can I say? Keep viewing, keep enjoying Tonči Prusac and this program, and keep supporting Dinamo and Melbourne Knights and everything that is Croatian. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's not my program; it's Dinamo's program. But thank you very much on that, in that regards. But I think I want to leave with one last final message: is that message that you guys started, that message of unity, that message of friendship, and it didn't matter
relationships,
who, what, where, when, and how. It was all one club, one community. And I think
absolutely. I
think when I look at it today, Miro, and I see, you know, the Hajdukovci there and Dinamovci, and I can see both the little pennants there in the background. And there's people from all parts of the city, all parts of Croatia, all parts from. And politically as well, their parents may have been right, their parents may have been centre, but at the end of the day, they've got together at Churchill Reserve, and everyone's the same, and everyone's
soccer
respected.
Was always this magnet vehicle, if you wish, and that was bonding us together.
Yeah,
that was bonding us. You know, the politics was dividing us. Even now, you know, HDZ, Stranka Prava, Host, that. Where when we come to the game. We all as one, and that's the message I like to project: is let's be as one.
Yeah, beautiful. Miro, thank you so much for your time on Dinamo TV.
My pleasure, Tonči.
We will see you at the games, and certainly at the tournament this year when you're fetching those soccer balls behind the goals.
Absolutely.
Good on you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Dinamo fans, in Berkey's absence this week, I'm been tasked with speaking to Cam, our senior men's coach. Cam, big week on the track. Looking forward to this big game against Manningham on Saturday.
Yeah, big game, to say the least. I guess it's kind of like a final for both teams, I think, at this stage of the season. So, yeah, the boys have been great. I think we expected a reaction from them on the first session back, and we got that after a disappointing result against Hume, and they've been fantastic all week. So yeah, look, it's another 3 points that are very important. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it.
And a couple of inclusions this week that will have bolstered the squad. Are they looking forward to seeing them on the park on Saturday as well?
Yeah, look, it's good new addition from Port Melbourne, Lucas Burns. So he joined. He came in last week. And obviously, have to wait till the window to open. So, but he'll be playing in the squad this week. So that's a good addition. Got Ryan. It's coming in as a second goalkeeper to help out with Marco, which is good. And then we've got young Ollie that'll probably be part of the squad as well. Who's done really well since coming in. So some fresh new faces have been, I think, good for the change room, good for the park, and hopefully it has a good effect on Saturday.
Yeah, and finally Manningham, sitting just above us. What are we expecting from them on the weekend?
Yeah, they're good. They're well coached. Like, I know George quite well. Got to know him quite well in the last year or so, and I think they cause a lot of teams headaches at their ground. So definitely a few key players to watch, and they're very physical and they're good at a lot of things. But I think if we can be on top of those and cancel them out, I think we can definitely come away with a positive result.
Thanks, Cameron. Good luck for the weekend. We'll see you there.
Let's go.
There we go. That was Adam Tenanini catching up with Cameron Watson ahead of the big game this weekend. Massive game. It's a grand final for us Dinamo fans. 3 p.m. at Petty's Reserve, Manningham United's ground. It's going to be on artificial turf, so I wonder how that's going to affect our boys. But a big, big game this Saturday. It's a must-win game. And as we heard, just a scoop there from the gaffer himself, we've got 3 new players that have been signed. Lucas Burns from Port Melbourne, Oliver DRAGICEVIC, who we saw that fantastic goal last week, and Ryan, the goalkeeper. I didn't catch his surname there, but we'll try and, with no doubt, the announcement will be made on our social media pages very, very shortly. That's it, folks. That's the end of tonight's Dinamo TV. Thank you very much for being a part of tonight's episode, and we will see you again next Thursday night at 8 p.m. Good night. Bye-bye.